Well, on maneuvers, the cavalry, which is equivalent to infantry. No, on maneuvers in Louisiana, they were on horseback. That's right. A few of them, they were on horseback. Well, but they didn't have any equipment. We had these guns. Each battery had 4 guns. Each gun was pulled by a team of 6 horses. So there were, and then there were 2 teams of 6 horses in each gun section. So we had, in my battery, I had 4 guns. That was 8 teams of horses, 6 each, plus single mounts for officers and NCOs. And each 6 horses would have 3 riders, you know, a swing, a lead, and whatever, the 3 drivers. Can't remember the name, but I couldn't admit. And so we had a bunch of horses. But we had all that gear. We had the guns and the caissons and limbers and all that stuff to move. The cavalry would go to great big horse mover trailers and put their horses on it, and they'd get in, and they would change. Maneuvers would change venues every 3 days. We'd have a problem for 3 days. Then we'd have a 3-day rest period. During that rest period, they'd move to another geographical area so they could have a different problem. Well, the cavalry got on their trailers and went. Took them maybe a half day to get there. We spent the whole 3 days riding to get from one location to the next. So the problems were the easiest for us because we go in position and sit there. But during the 3 days, so that was good. We'd ride those horses. We'd kill 3 or 4 horses a day in the whole division. In July in the heat, they just couldn't take it. And then when we got overseas, some of these old-time officers with their riding boots and their riding crop, walking around popping their boots with the riding crop, when we were over there in the Philippines in the jungle, said, "Man, if we just had our horses, we could have." I said, "Fellas, you don't remember. I think we can get these TD9 tractors and these trucks out of this mud without any trouble. Those horses would be dying over here." But they will love the horses, which is all right. I would say this, that the horse soldier was a good soldier. We and the 1st Cavalry Division, by the time I joined them, they were go back to what's his name, the Indian guy killed him way back. Custer, General Custer. Way back, and they had a lot of tradition, and those old soldiers were, and there were a lot of the old timers. Thank goodness when we came in. I had a couple of first sergeants. Hadn't been with them, I wouldn't know what to do. Brand new 2nd lieutenant, not still wet behind the ears. Thank goodness for those old boys. But the esprit de corps was unbelievable for the horse soldiers. Probably still is, I would imagine.
Talking about that, because the cavalry, obviously, you witnessed the transition from horses to mechanized, but in the grand scheme of things, through military history, I mean, the horses had been part of the Army for so long, and then to transition to mechanization. And then you talked about the older soldiers. Did they resist the going from horseback to mechanized at all?
Some of them did, but they didn't last long. They couldn't hack it. A lot of them they just left. Asked to get one old sergeant we had he was all gung ho to fight. He wanted to fight. He was feisty, old, had false teeth, and you don't last very long overseas if you don't have teeth. And so and they didn't want to send him. They said, "No, you, Sergeant Stroud, you're going to stay here." "No, I'm going." Okay. Well, he hadn't been over there very long. For our first little combat in field duty, all of a sudden his teeth were missing. So they sent him home. I'm sure he just lost them. But it was too much for him. But that was a good question. But some of the older ones, they were a little younger. They did all right. But in the main, the old soldiers, even the officers, didn't last. They moved on. Our outfit was pretty young people.
And talking about that, did you transition then to mechanized while you were still in the United States?
Yes. Yes. We changed we did that, we mechanized. Uh, Maybe 2 months, we only had about 2 months training with it before we went overseas. But then we had some time in Australia, a little bit of time. And then that was it. We had to do it. Like I say, we had our old stable sergeant who didn't know anything except horses and how to treat a wounded horse. He just couldn't drive, couldn't read. Well, he didn't go with us. So, but we just made out we had that, and that saddler, who was a comparatively young man, was smart, and he'd been, just taking care of the leather. Oh, there's a lot of leather when you're dealing with horse-drawn equipment. But he was good. He studied the motor manual, and we had unbelievable. Our prime movers over there were TD9 tractors. They're the ones that pull the guns, because it was in the Philippines mainly, in the mud, mountains. It was tough. And we had mechanics. Sometimes in the middle of the night, we'd be in a position somewhere moving. I'd hear something clank, clank, ting, bang, boing, bang, clank. The mechanics were working on those TD9 tractors in the middle of the night so we could get going the next morning. They were good soldiers. Good soldiers.